um, a shit being talked about right now, but I can't wait to put him to sleep on the night.
I'm ready.
The recent clash between Oleksandr Usyk and Daniel Dubois has ignited a firestorm of debate within the boxing world, with their rematch on July 19, 2025, at Wembley Stadium serving as a pivotal moment that underscored the vast chasm in skill, mentality, and adaptability between the two heavyweights. The narrative surrounding this fight, fueled by Dubois's bold callouts and Usyk's surgical dismantling, extends far beyond the confines of a boxing ring, touching on themes of resilience, delusion, and the unforgiving nature of elite-level competition. Usyk's fifth-round knockout victory, which saw him reclaim the undisputed heavyweight championship, was not merely a win but a masterclass in dominance that exposed Dubois's limitations while cementing Usyk's legacy as one of the greatest fighters of his generation. This essay delves into the dynamics of their rivalry, the psychological and technical disparities that define their encounters, and the broader implications for both fighters' careers, while addressing the question of whether Dubois could ever bridge the gap to challenge a technician as complete as Usyk. The build-up to the rematch was steeped in tension, largely driven by Dubois's insistence that he was robbed in their first meeting in August 2023 in Wrocław, Poland. That fight, which ended with Usyk stopping Dubois in the 9th round, was marred by a controversial 5th-round incident where Dubois landed a punch that floored Usyk. The referee ruled it a low blow, granting Usyk time to recover, a decision that Dubois and his team have clung to as evidence of an injustice. Dubois's camp, led by trainer Don Charles, argued that the punch was legal and that it had legitimately hurt Usyk, a narrative that gained traction among some fans and pundits. This belief fueled Dubois's confidence heading into the rematch, with the 27-year-old Londoner claiming he was a transformed fighter, buoyed by a string of impressive victories, including a stunning knockout of Anthony Joshua in September 2024. Dubois's rhetoric was brash, promising to put Usyk to sleep and even challenging the Ukrainian to a hypothetical bare-knuckle street fight, a provocative taunt that suggested he was ready to meet Usyk on any terms, gloves or no gloves. Usyk, however, remained unfazed by the bluster. At 38, the Ukrainian southpaw exuded the calm assurance of a fighter who had seen and conquered it all. His resume, which includes back-to-back victories over Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, as well as a flawless record as the undisputed cruiserweight champion before moving up to heavyweight, spoke for itself. Usyk's response to Dubois's call-out was not just verbal but a psychological dissection. He reminded the boxing world of Dubois's past failures under pressure, notably his 2020 loss to Joe Joyce, where Dubois took a knee and was counted out after absorbing a punishing jab to the eye, later revealed to have caused a fractured orbital bone. Usyk also referenced Dubois's tendency to crumble in their first fight, pointing out that when the going got tough, Dubois lacked the mental fortitude to push through adversity. This wasn't just trash talk. It was a calculated strike at Dubois's psyche, exposing a recurring theme in his career, the inability to rise to the occasion against elite opposition. The rematch itself was a stark illustration of this disparity. From the opening bell, Usyk dictated the pace, using his superior footwork, feints, and counterpunching to neutralize Dubois's power. Dubois, who had vowed to unleash hell, started aggressively, attempting to impose his jab and close the distance. But Usyk's movement and defensive acumen made him an elusive target, slipping under punches and landing crisp counters, particularly his southpaw left hand, which began to mark Dubois early. By the second round, Dubois was already showing signs of frustration, his punches becoming wilder as Usyk's precision took its toll. The third round saw a brief flurry from Dubois, landing a few right hands, but as analysts like Adam Smith noted, these shots were partially blocked, and Usyk remained unruffled, shaking off a borderline body shot reminiscent of the controversial blow from their first fight. The 5th round was where Usyk's brilliance shone brightest. Sensing Dubois's growing desperation, Usyk stepped up his attack, landing a right hook that sent Dubois to the canvas. Dubois rose, showing heart, but his attempt to fight back was met with a devastating left hand that floored him again. This time, he couldn't beat the count, and the referee waved off the fight at 152, with Dubois's corner throwing in the towel simultaneously. The 90,000 fans at Wembley Stadium erupted, not just in celebration of Usyk's victory, but in recognition of a performance that was both clinical and ruthless. According to CompuBox, Usyk landed 46% of his power punches, a testament to his efficiency, while Dubois threw more punches but connected at a far lower rate, his aggression proving to be his undoing against a counterpuncher of Usyk's caliber. The aftermath of the fight saw a chorus of voices from the boxing community weighing in, and their assessments were overwhelmingly critical of Dubois. Former world champion Tony Bellew was particularly scathing, noting that Dubois landed just one meaningful body shot in the entire fight, which Usyk brushed off with ease. Bellew argued that Dubois's mentality, his tendency to fold when the pressure mounts, is an insurmountable flaw at the elite level. When the going gets tough, he doesn't want to fight, Bellew said, a sentiment echoed by pundit Johnny Nelson, who described how Usyk systematically stripped Dubois of his jab, power, movement, and confidence, leaving him mentally broken by the 5th round. Dave Allen, a fellow heavyweight, went further, accusing Dubois of quitting, pointing out that after the second knockdown, Dubois got up at the count of 10 and walked to his corner without protest, showing no signs of being physically incapacitated. Allen, self-deprecatingly calling himself the chairman of the Quit Committee, recognized the signs of a fighter who had lost the will to continue. Martin Bicol's pre-fight prediction that Dubois wouldn't last 5 rounds unless he changed his approach proved prophetic. Bicol criticized Dubois for bringing the same predictable game plan, with no adjustments to counter Usyk's movement or ring IQ. Ajit Kabile, another heavyweight contender, marveled at Usyk's precision, noting that every jab and right hand was thrown with purpose, making Dubois look out of his depth. Even Dubois's promoter, Frank Warren, and trainer Don Charles, while praising their fighter's effort, couldn't deny Usyk's greatness, with Charles calling him a generational great and Warren labeling him a modern-day legend. These comments underscored a harsh reality for Dubois. His limitations were not just technical but mental, and against a fighter as complete as Usyk, those flaws were magnified. Dubois's post-fight comments, expressing a desire to go back to the drawing board and vowing to return stronger, rang hollow to many. His insistence on being robbed in the first fight and his talk of a rematch suggested a refusal to confront the reality of his performances. Duke McKenzie, a former world champion, called Dubois delusional for clinging to the narrative of a robbery, urging him to accept his losses and rebuild rather than making excuses. This criticism was compounded by reports of a gathering at Dubois's house hours before the fight, raising questions about his focus and preparation, with his team planning an internal inquest to address the lapse. Such distractions only reinforced the perception that Dubois lacks the discipline and maturity required to compete at Usyk's level. Usyk, by contrast, emerged from the fight not just as a victor but as a figure of reverence. His post-fight demeanor, dedicating the win to the fans, expressing gratitude to the UK, and humbly deflecting claims of being an all-time great, only enhanced his aura. He spoke of wanting to rest with his family, playfully naming potential opponents like Fury, Joshua, Derek Chisora, and Joseph Parker, while dismissing Jake Paul's bizarre call-out for an MMA fight with a chuckle. The WBO's mandate for Usyk to face interim champion Parker next suggests his reign will continue to be tested, but as Bellew, Nelson, and Allen all argued, it's hard to envision anyone in the current heavyweight landscape dethroning him. Usyk's ability to adapt, adjusting his weight to slow Dubois's feet, as Nelson noted, sets him apart as a strategist who leaves nothing to chance.